Japan is a country that constantly balances extremes. Ancient traditions exist alongside futuristic technology, quiet rituals beside crowded cities, and moments of stillness within constant movement. It's a place where small details carry deep meaning, where respect, precision, and discipline quietly shape everyday life. Even the most ordinary moments often hide something unexpected beneath the surface. The more closely you observe Japan, the more layers begin to reveal themselves, each one adding depth to the next. These 13 facts offer a deeper look into the unique habits, ideas, and contradictions that make Japan unlike anywhere else in the world. What really surprised me about Japan is how something so ordinary becomes extraordinary there. The country has more vending machines than anywhere else in the world, over 5 million of them spread across cities, villages, even quiet rural roads. They don't just sell drinks or snacks, but hot meals, umbrellas, and things you never expect. It feels like convenience turned into a way of life, where even the smallest moments are designed to be simple, efficient, and quietly thoughtful. When you hear about some towns in Japan, it almost feels like a glimpse into the future. In certain rural areas, robots actually outnumber people, stepping in as the population slowly disappears. They help with daily tasks, guide visitors, even keep places running that would otherwise be abandoned. What stays with me is how quietly this shift is happening. It's not science fiction or spectacle, just a practical response to change, where technology fills the gaps left by time and migration. Living in Japan means knowing the ground beneath you is never completely still. The country experiences more than 1,500 earthquakes every year, most of them small, barely noticed. And yet, everything is built with the unthinkable in mind. Buildings sway instead of breaking, systems react in seconds, people stay calm because they're prepared. What strikes me is that this constant risk doesn't create fear, it creates resilience. Japan has learned how to live with uncertainty and turn it into quiet strength. When you really think about Tokyo, the scale of it is almost impossible to picture. It's the largest city on Earth, with more than 37 million people living within its metropolitan area. That's millions of lives moving through the same space every day, yet somehow it all works. Trains run on time, streets stay orderly, and the city feels surprisingly calm for its size. What amazes me most is how Tokyo doesn't feel overwhelming. It feels precise, like a massive organism that's learned how to move smoothly, even with the weight of so many people inside. What makes Aokigahara so unsettling is how easily it disorients you. In this Japanese forest, GPS signals weaken and compasses can stop working, disrupted by the volcanic rock beneath the ground. The silence there feels thick, almost pressing in, as if sound and direction both get lost among the trees. It's a place where technology suddenly feels fragile, and you become aware of how completely nature can take control, setting its own rules without warning. One detail about Japan that really stays with me is how seriously time is taken. If a train is late by even a single minute, passengers receive an official apology slip they can show at work or school. It's not about punishment, but respect for people's schedules, their commitments, their day. That small piece of paper says a lot about the culture. Punctuality isn't just expected, it's valued, and even the smallest delay is treated as something that deserves acknowledgement. One of the most striking things about Japan is that even silence has its own place. There are cafes where talking isn't allowed, phones stay away, and nothing interrupts the quiet. You sit with a cup of tea, surrounded by calm and atmosphere, and that's the whole point. In a world that never stops making noise, these spaces feel almost radical. They remind you that silence isn't empty. It's something you can experience, appreciate, and even need. One thing that really stands out about Japan is how seriously work is taken, sometimes to an extreme. In some cases, companies have even apologized publicly for overworking their employees. That alone says a lot. The dedication is deep, but the pressure can be heavy, and rest has become a real social issue. What stays with me is the awareness that productivity has limits, and that even in a culture built on discipline and responsibility, there's a growing recognition that people need time to breathe. There's an island in Japan that feels almost unreal at first. On Tashirojima, cats outnumber people by far, wandering freely through streets and along the shore. They're cared for, respected, and even believed to bring good luck. What I find fascinating is how naturally it all works, humans and animals sharing the same small space without conflict. The island feels calm, playful, and a little surreal, like a place where everyday life quietly bends towards something more whimsical. One thing that really surprised me about Japan is that you can legally adopt an adult. It's often done to preserve family businesses, traditions, and even surnames when there's no heir. At first it sounds unusual, but the more you think about it, the more practical it feels. It's not about age, it's about responsibility and continuity. In a society that values legacy so deeply, this kind of adoption becomes a way to protect what generations before worked so hard to build. Japan is made up of more than 6,800 islands, and many of them are completely uninhabited. No roads, no voices, no movement, just land surrounded by sea. Thinking about that feels almost surreal. While cities like Tokyo pulse with constant energy, these islands remain untouched, frozen in time. They're quiet reminders that even in one of the most advanced countries in the world, there are still places where nature exists on its own terms. In Japan, even hospitality is being reimagined. There are hotels run largely by AI and robots, with little to no human staff involved. Check-ins are handled by machines, questions answered by screens or robotic voices, and everything runs with precise efficiency. What's fascinating is how normal it feels there. It's not about replacing people, but about adapting to a future where technology quietly takes on routine roles, reshaping how everyday experiences work. One of the most sobering things about Japan is that it has a word for dying from overwork. Karoshi isn't slang or exaggeration, it's a recognized social phenomenon. That alone carries a lot of weight. It shows how deeply work is woven into life, sometimes at a dangerous cost. What stays with me is the contrast between dedication and exhaustion, and the growing awareness that even the strongest work ethic has a breaking point. Japan cannot be understood through a single image or idea. Beyond the neon lights, bullet trains, and ancient temples lies a society shaped by discipline, respect, and constant self-reflection. Traditions are not preserved out of nostalgia, but because they still serve a purpose, while innovation is embraced without forgetting where it comes from. These facts only begin to reveal that depth. Japan doesn't try to impress or stand apart. It moves forward quietly, carefully balancing past and future, and that sense of intention and restraint is what makes it so deeply captivating.